How you doing, you mob? You're here with Big Will. Welcome back to another episode of Man Time. It's just myself, and today Wil and Alex. Due to some ongoing weather event that's attacking the North Queensland coast, Wil and Alex has to, I guess you say, basically isolate, in his own little place. And yeah, the boys couldn't join you today. Hey, but how you doing, Wil and Alex?
Yeah, good. Like you were saying, it's flooded up here. Just rain just won't stop. I think today was the longest it's been without rain. Had a like 4 hour window there. I had to touch up my car with some paint because there was a few scratches from the rain and it's just peeling the paint. So that was my day. I took advantage of the few hours we had of rain not hanging around, so I just got in and did some work. But yeah, over there where Joe lives in West End, just flooded. It's crazy, eh? This rain's come.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that, the last flood in 2019, because I just moved back from New South Wales after my failed attempt at a move back then. But when I come back to Townsville at the start of 2019, they called that flood, once in a lifetime, once in a century event.
One in every 2,000 years.
Yeah, or some stuff like that, and it's happened again only 6 years after. So climate change is a real thing, guys. Yeah. No, but no, it's crazy to see that, all up the coast. Yeah, not all up the coast, but from Townsville to Cairns, just them little towns in between like Ingham and Innisfail and Cardwell, Tully. It's not, of course, a cyclone which can cause more damage, but of course, a lot of heavy rain can do a lot of stuff as well. I guess from us here at Man Business, we just want to, send prayers and love out to all the mob that are negatively affected, all the mob that had to be evacuated in Townsville because, a few of them suburbs there are at the mouth of the Ross River, a low-lying area, so they had to be evacuated. So a lot of families had to go through a lot of stress currently up there in North Queensland. As long as... And that's the thing, last time Townsville had floods, there were 2 casualties, the 2 young fellas that, that passed from the flood. Luckily now, in this one, there has been no casualties that I've heard of. Alex, do you know if you've...
Not here in Townsville, but there has been 2 casualties in Ingham. 2 old girls passed away. One was found in a cane paddock. I think she was 80-something years old, and another one passed away as well.
Yeah.
So condolences to the families up in Ingham that have lost their loved ones, but yeah, it's crazy. Like my dad's brother lives in Ingham with his family, so I've been seeing everything on their Facebook, of them being flooded and crocodile cruising up and down his street there. So there's been crocodiles around in Ingham, so Ingham's just flooded at the moment. Yeah. To top it off, they cut off as well because that's that bridge at Olera Creek got washed away. So
yeah,
at the moment they got a temporary bridge there that the army brought in, but it's only one way, so taking in turns.
Bridge. Far out. What do they make of that? What is it? Just to make me want to look it up, but
it's something I've seen on Call of Duty, like playing Call of Duty. They got those big semi-trailers and they just drop it over a hole and cars drive over, but it's very similar to that.
That'd be scary, eh?
Yeah, well, there's a video of a ute, a Hilux towing a trailer, going over like a boat. So I think that might have been SES going up to Ingham, but
yeah,
the sketchy as watching that boat go on.
No, thank you.
That trailer just hitting the bitumen, steep. But yeah, here in Townsville, it's just these areas around where I live here, like Kerwin and Heatley, Garbutt. It's just flash flooding, eh?
Yeah.
I think the storm drains might be just too narrow or either clogged up, but the rain that we had has just been too quick. It's like too heavy, too much rain, too fast. So
yeah.
The storm drains haven't been able to keep up with it.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that. I think, guys, this might get a bit too political, a bit too in depth with it, but I think there needs to be a wake up call for governments to maybe put some better infrastructure in because like I said before, that 2019 flood event was only supposed to be one in a century, one in 2,000 years or whatever, but it's happened again, and I bet you from that time, from 2019 to now, there hasn't been any talks about upgrading any infrastructure in the north. So definitely the conversation needs to be had.
And it's funny too because it's not funny, but it's a spin out how it happened on the exact same weekend, same dates, the same dates.
Yeah,
Just different year.
because I remember 2019, like that long Invasion Day weekend, that long weekend. I had come back the week before from Maitland, and I had luckily the rain didn't start till sort of in February, but I came back to do a tombstone for my grandfather. And it was bloody hot as January would be in Townsville, but they're starting to. And I lived out at Kelso at that time, so I remember me and my mate that I was rooming with. We actually went down to the sort of the riverside just up top there with Kelso, and you look down, and it was bloody flowing, But yeah, no, it's bloody ridiculous to see that it's happening again. And there, like you said, it's crazy for the fact that it's happened on the same date, literally 6 years later. But yeah, I guess with talking about that and talking about certain events that may cause stress and may cause grief among families and individuals, I just want to talk about, if we wanted to get a bit deep into a bit heavy, is like just that topic around suicide. Stuff we want to talk about in mental health is there has been trends where what do you call it? Suicides have been sort of at a peak where there's been a lot, and of course there's sometimes where it's been a low time. I think some in North Queensland, where we grew up, there was probably one every year or so, whether that be within our own sort of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and even outside. That sometimes the data, or sometimes I guess just the data that they'll collect for suicide rates is sometimes they'll even match it up to certain events that are like social events. I'd say, for instance, a lot of the suicides that might happen with young people, a lot of it, I said something about climate change before, where I've been in spaces where climate change and the looking after the environment has been such a stress on young people. Is a lot of young people might take it upon themselves to leave this world early before it gets too bad. Because what kind of future do they have for themselves or even for their kids if they were to have some? And then with that being said, when I was just reading up this week and just before that, there was a lot of suicides surrounding like when the first Australians came back from World War One. So in the early 1910s. However, and this is sometimes that will still happen, and this is where organisations like ours and even bigger ones or smaller ones, where governments try and hide the fact of how often suicide does happen or how often mental health issues affect individuals and families, is where when Australians came back, the Australian men came back from the World War One, that there were a lot of mental health issues that affected the men on the front line. And then, there's theory that there were a lot of suicides for the ones that were able, that came back to basically not being able to live with family or live with loved ones because they were what they at the time called shell shocked, or what we know today as post-traumatic stress disorder, and how that affected them as individuals. That of course then affected the people around them, and because there wasn't much, wasn't much education around it at that time. There were a lot of suicides that did happen that weren't recorded by governments because, of course, we think of war. It's a government-led thing. When men and women do enlist and they become part of the army, navy, or whatever defence force, they're basically government property. So you get these governments that send these men and women away to fight for freedoms or for whatever the reason may be. Is then governments will hide the negative side effects of war. But yeah, sorry, I'm just rambling on. But
No, you're right.
is there any sort of trends or events that you may have seen there, Alex, that where you may have linked to, I guess, suicides or something that you may have seen in a trend working with young people, but as well just in your personal life?
Not that I can think of at the top of my head at the moment, but
Yeah,
yeah, nah.
I think yeah, that just with what do you call it? Just that, because there's been, the World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War. There was a lot of stuff around there where, of course, humans aren't supposed to see, fellow humans dying at such a
Yeah, all that
rate.
real bad stuff.
Yeah, and that's you see a lot of, I grew up with a lot of people around me that, older fellas that were part of the Defence Force, and they, the ones that were lucky to be able to come back home and still have friendships that they have from the war
Mm.
times. You see them, they cherish those friendships with such what do you call it? Just with such effort. Whenever they, if their friend does live in a certain town or state, they'll make an effort to get out there and see them, because the stuff that, of course, we can only speak of from secondhand experience, third-hand experiences, and just stories, is that the men and women that do come back from fighting overseas, and it tends to, of course, leave an effect on humans that definitely need to be talked about more. But yeah, I think with that, it's such a heavy topic, and I guess at the end we'll put that 13 yarn or lifeline as well if you just wanted to talk about it. But I guess to put it out there for listeners to this episode, um, of course, if suicide or mental health issues have affected you directly, whether it's it's a loved one, a child, an uncle, an auntie, mum or dad, grandparents, if there's anything that you need to be able to get off your chest, definitely there are areas there where or organisations that you can call up and have those conversations. But we'll move. I guess we'll lighten up the mood a bit more. But do you have anything else, Alex? You want to maybe yarn about that at all?
Like you said, we're gonna put the numbers up on the screen here.
Yeah.
13 yarn lifelines there if you are struggling and you do need help with anything, whether it's just a phone call or ways to handle something. But again, we're always pushing this is don't be afraid to speak up.
Yep.
And friends or family, don't be afraid to ask someone if they're doing all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just it. Make sure we're there for our mates. Check up on our mates. And most of all, just ask some questions.
Yeah, definitely be. I think we spoke about it in our first episode of this year. Was Bala Mini was talking about being present. And I then spoke about you can have that conversation or start the conversation. But if there is a family member or a friend that you might be concerned about, and they're not opening up to you straight away, give it time. And like I said earlier, these thoughts that are running through this individual's head, this family member, this friend, these thoughts have been built up over time. So for them to then open up about it, you got to give it time. And this is where, I just on TikTok, just last night, I saw a one, it just came up on my For You page, and it was just one video of, I'm assuming a sister had posted a video of her brother who I think it was like a family event. But basically this brother, he was dancing, smiling, having a great time. And then the caption on the video was basically, it was just like, this was 6 hours before we'd found him. He had then, after that video was recorded, he would then found to have suicided. Unfortunately, it's just no one knows when people are going through those certain times in their life. and that's the thing. Sometimes it's because it's not talked about enough, and it hasn't been talked about for a very long time. These conversations is sometimes can be seen as an attack to the person that you might be concerned about. It could be just and in some communities, most communities, I guess all communities, whether black, white, um, whatever community you're from, it is still a very taboo subject as well, where some families won't talk about it, how you're going mentally. But it's just what we have to do moving forward. And just to give a shout out, and I did reach out to him to maybe get a guest on our podcast. But there's an organisation called Trade Mutt, and basically what they do at the moment is, what do they do? They do high-vis uniforms. I think they do others, like other equipment and stuff, but they basically do these high-vis uniforms, is sort of being sold, of course, to construction workers, road workers, and their main goal is just, I think, whenever you buy from them, is like 50% of their profit goes to mental health, another mental health organisation. But yeah, I guess, on top of that, I just want to be able to, if anyone knows anyone that would like to get on and have a bit of a yarn and have a platform about mental health, or even what they're doing to help out in their community, we're always open to having guests on. Because, we can only talk about so much in terms of our life experiences with mental health and suicide. And as well, with that then comes, we can only talk about culturally what we know as well, being from North Queensland, growing up in North Queensland, working in North Queensland. Of course, the way things are done in North Queensland, they'll be different to someone maybe down here in New South Wales. Of course, regional, and then of course you have the metro area of Sydney CBD, but then mob out west, whether it be west of Townsville to Mount Isa, west of here to the Hunter Valley and Dubbo and all that areas, and even into NT or South Australia, all those other places. Every community would have a different way on how they handle it. And yeah, we're always open to having guests on. But yeah, all right. So we'll move on. And basically, today's episode, guys, I just wanted to give you a heads up, is because it's just Alex and I, and it's, we're recording this on a Sunday night. It's just going to be a very short episode. It's just going to be us yarning about, of course, what we just yarned about. But then stuff, we'll have a bit of fun as well. Which then moves me on to our next thing, is maybe just in what's happening in the world at the moment. And what's happening in the world is tomorrow is the Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl, what do you call it? It will be Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This will be the second time these two teams have faced each other. When was the last time they faced each other? 2022? I'm going to look this up.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, Alex doesn't seem to be a fan of NFL after I beat him in Madden a couple of years ago. I beat him 50-0, guys.
No, he talk shit. Talk shit, this guy.
Hey, language. Kids listen to this. Yeah. No, so it's what number is this Super Bowl? Super Bowl 59. Is that 50? What's LIX in Roman numerals, Alex?
It's yeah, I don't know.
59. So, of course, it's not a sport that we usually discuss on here, but, it's the end of the season, of course. It's the grand final. If people don't know what the Super Bowl means, it's the grand final for the National Football League of America. Alex, what do you know about the gridiron or National Football League? Besides playing Madden, of course, do you know much about the game?
Oh, I've only learnt about the game from playing Madden, so that's pretty much it. And just watching those movies, like Gridiron Gang and Friday Night Lights, Longest Yard.
Yeah.
What's that one? Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans. Classic.
But ever since growing, like when I was a young fella growing up playing Madden and everything, for some reason, I just liked Arizona Cardinals. So because Larry Fitzgerald, I was a fan of Larry Fitzgerald. So he was there. I still support Arizona Cardinals.
Well, I think as well, like, the first Madden game that I ever played was '07, and I'm pretty sure it was him and somebody else that was on the cover. So yeah, no, I do remember Larry Fitzgerald. And for instance, my team, I remember because I watched a few of their games growing up, but the Tennessee Titans, not necessarily a contender every year. You know, they've been ups and downs. I think they've only made one Super Bowl in their past, and that was back in like 2000 or just 2000. I think they lost to the Rams. I think that were based in St. Louis at the time. But I started going for Tennessee Titans because their quarterback at the time when I started watching was this fella named Marcus Mariota, who I thought was Latino. I thought he was like Mexican fella. But actually come to find out he was Hawaiian, or like he was Pacific Islander. And I think that's when I'd only found that out recently too. But I think because at the time when I was watching, there weren't too many black quarterbacks. Like now, you know, there's about probably half of them are now all African American. But at the time, there was like probably one or two black quarterbacks, and then there was him, who was probably like the only Pacific Islander quarterback that I've ever seen. So I still go for Tennessee Titans. They were very close a couple of years ago to make the Super Bowl again, but you know, it is what it is. I don't know the sport very well, like you said. I only know it from movies and video games growing up. But here we go. The Super Bowl. What do you call it? Held on Sunday in the US, of course, with time difference. It'll be broadcasted tomorrow morning. What do you call it? Boom, boom, boom. It'll be in, what is that, Las Vegas? No? I don't know. Oh, here we go. It'll be a rematch of the 2023 Super Bowl, which Kansas City won 38-35. And I remember that one because it was the Kelsey Bowl, as they call it, because the Chiefs had that Travis Kelce and the Eagles had that Jason Kelce. But unfortunately, you know, Jason Kelce retired and he's not in this game again. But do you have a favorite as to who do you think's going to win?
Honestly, I haven't been keeping up with the NFL this year, so I'm just going to jump on the bandwagon and just go Chiefs, I guess.
If they win, right, and this is some trivia for you, there has been no team in the NFL that has completed the three-peat. There's been back-to-backs before, but there has been no three-peat. So if Chiefs were to go on and win, they will basically be like Penrith Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it is Super Bowl 59. Sorry, it's in New Orleans in the Superdome. The stadium is fully enclosed and air-conditioned.
Yeah, that's right. It's in New Orleans because there was that stink about Kendrick Lamar doing it when they should have went with Lil Wayne because Lil Wayne's from New Orleans.
Where Kendrick from? He from like California, like
California,
West Coast. Yeah. Oh, so there's something else that's happened. Speaking of Kendrick, he won best rap song of the year.
He swept his category. So you know he won best rap song of the year, best performance of the year, best video of the year. I think it was.
Yeah, he won like 5 of the night, eh?
Yeah.
He was nominated for 5 and won 5.
Yeah, he swept his categories. So.
All right, I need to ask you.
All off one song.
He's bloody good. And he had, that was his first song in a couple of years too. Well, first, his own song that he had. I think he's featured on a few ones. But I wanted to ask you a question because it's been causing controversy amongst, especially a few mutual friends of ours on Facebook have had an opinion to talk about it. Beyonce winning Best Country Album of the Year at the Grammys. Well, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Honestly, when you got fucking Chris Stapleton, who was also nominated for an country album of the year. And Post Malone's album was fucking way better than hers.
Post Malone, Post Malone's featured on Beyonce's, but yeah, Post Malone's, I think it was F1 Trillion's album.
Like his country album was better than Beyonce. He actually had fucking country legends on his album.
He did have it.
You know, you had Luke Combs, Chris Stapleton, Dolly Parton. Who else was on there? Fucking
Brad Paisley.
Brad Paisley. He had a fair few
Yep.
country icons on his fucking album.
Look, there have been. There have been definitely. When it first dropped, the Cowboy Carter album, it definitely did bring a lot of heat with it as well. You know, I'm on the fence still. I'm happy that Beyonce was able to maybe step not necessarily dip her toes in it. I think she just dived straight into the country genre. But yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm glad that she won, but at the same time, I understand why people, because I love the Post Malone album. I also love the Chris Stapleton White Horse album. And speaking of Chris Stapleton, I'm going to go see him here in a couple of weeks in Melbourne. So yeah, no, the Grammys are there, and I don't think of any other categories. I can't think of any other categories. But Kendrick is going to be doing the halftime show. And yeah, Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance because her tour has ended.
Well, it's funny because you're talking about Beyonce. Jay-Z owns a halftime show, eh?
How does he own it? I thought does he have
Rock Nation owned the halftime show, so they bought rights to the halftime show. I think he's had it for the last 6 years or something, maybe longer. But
because I was thinking, because
he's the one that selects who's performing at halftime.
He's got some money behind him, mate. No, we're not. We're not about that life here. Yeah. But look, if Jay-Z, if you're listening, if we could send you maybe a Man Business shirt or a singlet, if you can get Kendrick to wear it at the halftime show, then we'll be happy.
Not enough.
Oh, imagine. But yeah, so that's what's been happening. The NRL is back, of course. The just last night and on Friday night there was the trial matches between who was it? Raiders and Penrith last night, and then Sharks and Warriors on Friday night. Look, did you watch them, Alex?
I watched a bit of the Sharks and the Warriors game. I just watched it because it was footy.
Yeah,
I didn't really get too into it, but I was just sussing it out. But it's good to actually see it back on TV.
Yeah, it's good to have it back, but as well, I think what I was excited for, especially for that Warriors game, was Fish Harris playing a few minutes in the, seeing him in the Warriors jersey. I'd love to see how they go this year, because I think that's where, as much as on paper the New Zealand Warriors have always had a great team, I think where they lacked in was just that discipline in the front pack late in games, where they sometimes would become lazy and just sort of give away cheap penalties where they would lose most of their games. So, especially, after them losing Tohu Harris to early retirement, I think Fisher Harris will be able to fill that role as leader in the middle, which will be awesome. And then, of course, he didn't play for the Sharks in that trial game, but Fanua Blake playing for Cronulla, adding to that already great pack that the Sharks have. It might be the changing, the change of momentum that maybe the Sharks need, because they've been there last few years, the old Cronulla Sharks. But maybe just that little bit of firepower in the middle might be able to push them over. The All-Stars, speaking of NRL still, the All-Stars game is next weekend. Has the Maori team been announced yet, Alex?
Fucking stacked.
Fucking
stacked. I'll find it here and I'll read it out to you. I don't know what's wrong with the Indigenous team, but why aren't there, there's so many players that aren't fucking named?
Yeah, there's definitely, of course, there's a limited amount of spots, so there are names that are going to be snubbed, but then on top of that, the ones that do get snubbed, there are questionable calls. The All-Stars game, I think, as well, it's a confusing time where half of it is like, okay, well, it's still just a trial game, but then at the other time, it's an exhibition. And then it's like, well, but still, we want to be able to see the best players play.
Exactly.
But then, that could also be, we talk about maybe they're not selecting right. Maybe on top of it, it could be clubs withholding players as well.
Well, the Sharks players I can understand because they're going to fucking Vegas soon.
Vegas,
but, I know that Adokar and Latrell are suspended, and they were going to use a game as part of their suspension.
Well,
whether or not they got approval for that.
I forgot. Latrell's not named in the All Stars game. The team, is he?
No, so the team is that Jacob Alec, Jaden Campbell, Josh Curran, Tallis Duncan, Brian Kelly, Josh Kerr, Khan Pereira, Dylan Lucas, Shaq Mitchell, Tyrone Munro, Brett Naden, Ohepa Puru, Niwai Puru, Ethan Roberts, Blake Steep, Jaden Sullivan, Jacob Sykes, Hamaso, Connor Watson, and Jack Whiten. All right.
Not too many. Look, this might be controversial, but seems to be not too many Murrays or Torres Strait Islanders in this year's team. Controversial, I know, but I just want to say it. I just wanted to put it out there.
Anyways, this is the Maori team. Ready?
Oh, here we go.
Jesse Arthurs,
Oh.
Zach Docker-Clay, James Fisher-Harris, Dane Gagai, Hiroti, however you say that name, Royce Hunt, Kinney there from Titans,
Keanu
Kinney,
Yep.
Jacob Laban, Jeremy Marshall-King, Jesse McLean, Curtis Moran, Chansey, Nickel Clockstad, Adam Pompey, Kalen Ponga, Jordan Ricky, Jas Tavanga, Leo Thompson, Tane Tuipiki, Will Warbrick, and Xavier Willison.
Isn't Xavier Willison like 7'7"? Fuck,
Can't they too big?
No, but that's the thing about the All Stars game. I'm, of course, proud for both teams. Even before, my partner is Maori, but even when this was first coming through, I was just happy to be able to see both teams, feel their best, and just have a great day of it. Especially with the dances and everything that go on before the game and halftime. But look, to be honest, there's not too many great, especially running around today. There's not too many great Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander front rowers, and that's where we lose the game. We just don't have the pack to match up with a Fisher Harris, a Royce Hunt, bloody Jeremy Marshall-King. Like, those names are just too great, and that's where we lose. We have a lot of firepower in our back seven, but we just don't have that guts in the middle. Sometimes I think this is where
we did win last year. So
did we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
I don't know. Did I watch it?
Making me think it, yeah.
Because we drew 21. That was the game in Towns. We drew 2021. Then 2022. Did 2022 have a game? Made me think now. Did we win last year? I thought we lost.
No, I'm pretty sure we won.
Have a look there.
Or am I thinking about another game? We won 22-14.
Oh, there we go. Well, there we did win.
That's when we had speed for days, because you had Adokar, Hamaso, and Khan Pereira just scoring tries.
That's right. Well, you know what I was going to say, though? After I said that we don't have any front rows, I'm thinking of maybe training up for next year and get selected.
Yeah, do it, Russ.
Yeah.
You and Big Shaq just rotate. Josh Curran can just come on when you're tired.
Josh Curran is a beast. But look, we'll move on, because I'm sick of talking about sports. Again, what are some other things that have happened? So we've talked about the Grammys, we've talked about football, and what do you call it? The Super Bowl. Is there anything else? Oh, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic being signed by the Lakers. Oh, not being signed, being traded to the Lakers. That was a what do you call it? That was just a crazy time. Luka? Just when I woke up and got the message from my other mate who watches NBA, and it was like, Luka's just been traded to the Lakers, I was like, what are you talking about? I was just speaking to him last night. He's keen to stay in Dallas. No, but yeah, it's such but it's so weird, because if Alex, if you don't know much, do you know much about the NBA and sort of the Lakers, how they are at the moment?
I haven't really watched the NBA this year, but I do
Yeah.
follow the NBA more than the NFL. So
So basically, for those that don't know, is the Lakers, with Anthony Davis, albeit he's been injured every now and again, right? He's been their big man, and all he wanted, from what I've heard, Anthony Davis, all he wanted was a backup big man because he didn't want to play center. He's a power forward, right? And then Lakers then, of course, traded him to bring in Luka. But then now, after Anthony Davis is gone, who's their big man? Because if Anthony Davis was requesting a big man to come in and they bring in Luka, who's their center?
they got that. They end up getting that young fella named Mark Williams. Apparently, this bloke's got he's got a bigger reach than Wembyana.
Oh,
Apparently.
really?
His
Mark
wingspan
Williams
is bigger than Wembyana's, but
far out.
I don't know.
It's basically changed this whole landscape of maybe what the Mavericks are. I remember, and this is what made me sad. I remember a comment on a post on TikTok, and basically what it was this son was talking to his dad, and basically was like, "You had Dirk, Luca was my Dirk, and they traded him," and I was like, "Oh, sports sometimes can affect." Mostly men. You have some females that are, of course, very strong sports fans and love their sport. But sometimes you get sports decisions that happen that can affect your whole mood. Like when I was happy that we were able to get back Wayne Bennett. Of course, but still say at the same time I was sad that we had to let go Damian Cook and all these other players that had to leave as well. But that's just what happens. One more thing about a sporting event that's just happened recently was the Royal Rumble, WWE. Now, Alex, I don't know. I know that you're not really on the WWE bandwagon, but I've reinvested back into WWE this year just because John Cena was my boy growing up. And with John Cena and him having this final year, he's going to be at certain events throughout the year. So I'll watch the Royal Rumble this year. And because now WWE's over on Netflix, their main events usually are pay-per-view. They're free on Netflix. All you just need is, of course, you just need a Netflix subscription, of course. But, you think of other events that are usually on main event channel. They're usually running about $60 per event, right? So I watched it the other day with a few of my mates here, and look, I was sad because John Cena was the second last person and he got eliminated by that Jey Uso. Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble this year. So see where it takes him, but to see that John Cena's not giving up and he wants to win his 17th world title this year before he goes, and that will then allow him to break the record and then consolidate his name as the greatest of all time. I'm just happy to see that John Cena is back, because when it comes to his last match, I don't know how I'd take it, Alex. Look, it's just like I remember watching Kobe's last game and having a bit of a emotional breakdown when he had his final game, and of course when he passed, it was of course an effect there as well. All right.
I remember when Kobe passed. I was working out on the boats, 2020. It's funny because I actually come up with the Lakers jersey on, the Kobe Bryant jersey, and I come up because we're at Green Island, posted up. Green Island, Arlington Reef up in Cairns, because it was choppy as fuck. Weather was crazy. It was this time of year now, rain, windy. Anyway, I come upstairs, sit down on my phone. Holy cunt. Kobe Bryant passed away. Checking everything, like helicopter crowd, like trigger, bro. It sort of sunk me, like.
I remember
he passed away.
I'd found out through a Snapchat message from a close mate of mine, and he basically just said, "Bruh, Kobe's died." And like this was like 4:00 in the morning. I was like, yeah, whatever, mate. Yeah, like it's not real. He was just congratulating LeBron James at a game like a couple of days earlier.
Yeah.
Something, he was shaking hands. And, there. Because as soon as I see any sort of hoax celebrity death on Facebook, Instagram, or anything like that, straight away I'm searching it up. Just say, for instance, like Kobe Bryant, like search it up, Kobe Bryant dead. And it was, once the news started all matching up, I was like, there's no way. There's no way this fella has passed. And the helicopter crash, and then coming to find out his daughter was it. Yeah, look. It was just an emotional time that year because 2020, the bushfires was bloody coming down on the east coast of Australia. And like there, sometimes I drive out west here of the, and even on the coast, sometimes you see the after effects still of the bushfires of 2020. But you had the bushfires. I think there was some flooding at the start of that year too, somewhere. But then then Kobe passed, and then COVID, the lockdown happened, started 2020. So everything 2020 shouldn't even count as a year. It was just a speed bump in life. 2020 was a crazy start to the year.
Bro, it was a hectic year, eh? Like that time of life was just weird. Like, it was like a ghost town. No one was out on the streets because you weren't allowed to be out on the streets unless you were an essential worker.
As a fella that Alex, as a fella that worked out on the boats back then, were you still allowed to go out, or were you stopped as well?
Well, honestly, we were more safe out at sea than being on land.
Yes, yeah.
But we can only stay out on sea for so long. We would. I remember we got back to land, berthed up into the marina there in Cairns, and then our projects manager was there waiting for us to come in, and all he had was chemicals. Chemicals on top of chemicals on top of chemicals. Just bleach this boat, make sure there's no fucking germs or anything in here.
Yeah.
Because a few members in the marina in Cairns, because the boating community in Cairns is so big because it's just a tourism destination. There was a few people working on the other dive boats, the day boats, that actually had COVID. So COVID was making its round in Cairns. So then alarm bell started ringing, big boss come down with chemicals, just start cleaning the boat, everything.
Take your shorts down, clean your ass. Get it.
But yeah, no, my team was still able to work because we were 10 days out at sea, 4 days at home. So we avoided much of it. But then that's when I got off the boats in like maybe May of 2020 is when I stopped working on the boats. So I got off the boats in 2020. Then I started doing youth work and sheet metal manufacturing, and then that time there, like just doing that youth work, and what do we do? Just work from home.
Yeah.
Keep your emails open. Keep your work phone by your side.
Yep.
Boring.
I remember.
But, everyone was going through that. Everyone was going through the phase too of working out at home. Everyone had resistance bands and whatever. And, you could go. They were still allowing you to go out for exercise, like walk, around the neighborhood, whatever. But fuck, it was just a weird time, bro.
I remember because I was a youth worker. I started in 2019 in youth work, so I had the full year of sort of working with kids, and then started 2020 when started to hit Townsville. It there, like you said, everything was shut. Everyone had to stay home, and if you weren't an essential worker, which I was an essential worker, still had to go to work, still had to do, because I was a shift worker, of course, at the lighthouse service, so still had to go in, and they're usually driving to work. Shift started 4-5, driving to work. It's bloody usually traffic from schools and other workers and empty, and it was such a different time. And they're like I said, 2019 had that full year of working at the lighthouse. And basically what had happened was, and of course it probably still works the same way, you had the two workers in like a Kia Carnival, and so we had capacity to transport 6 kids to and from program. So with COVID and with the whole you know, social distancing and everything, we had to go from 6 young people in the buses down to 2. And basically how it was 2 in the front, so the staff, and then 1 person in the first row of 3, and then 1 person in the back. So, of course, the lighthouse is still running, which is great to see. But, there was still that moment of, okay, well, we have to say no to most of our kids, which usually we'll say yes to because they're the kids that we have to be targeting for our program. But we couldn't bring them in because of COVID. And, a lot of us as workers, we were... That's right, as well as, just sort of how the staff worked is 2 people were only allowed in the office area or even just in the house. So 2 that were in the office, the other 2 sort of were out and about sort of planning everything for the thing. And then when they finished out of the office, you were able to go into the office, had to wear masks. We had all this bloody... We had a big bulk orders of hand sanitizer, but not just hand sanitizer. We had big bulk of... sanitary wipes, like them Pino clean stuff. We had that was packed up in bloody filing cabinets in our office. But that's the thing, like the after effects of COVID, especially on some of our kids, is that, I see it in kids nowadays, like going to school, like, or not even like some of the kids that, like it's 2025 now. So you got to think of the kids that may have been in year 10, 11, 12 in, say, senior school back in 2020. Last year I worked with a young fella who was in year 12 in 2020 when COVID hit. And it's sort of, you could see now how some adults that are now 23, 24 that were affected by COVID in senior school is that when they then started to go out to look for work, like it affected them in the way that they didn't have much social skills because, that time when you're 10, 11, 12, you're doing work experience. You're going out saying hello to community or, different businesses to hire you. They didn't have that. So, of course, most of them now have built that skills up. But I remember coming out of, the workplace or, like working and coming into these young fellas coming into work and seeing how they interact with other people was very different to how when I was coming out of school. But then I had the privilege of not having a worldwide pandemic to cope with as well. So, but like same thing again at the start of when we were talking about just certain events that could affect someone's mental health that's out of their control. A worldwide pandemic is absolutely crazy,
It was just locked in prison. Remember you had to scan those QR codes if you went out somewhere, like, scanning, I've been here. Scanning, I've been there.
Oh, man. I'd love to download my Queensland one because I didn't have it in Townsville. Only when I did go to Brisbane, they were still doing it there. Because Townsville, like sort of North Queensland, started to come out of lockdown before the biggest cities, right? So I remember going from Townsville to Brisbane, where of course there's a lot more people. They even like recently coming down here, and like what I came down here 2023 in the hospital, they were still like big on mask wearing and wearing gloves and shit. And it's like, okay, well, and I then understand, like looking back, I understand how New South Wales dealt with it differently than Queensland governments. But like going to visit Brisbane and them mobs still being on edge of what could happen.
You know what used to make me laugh? How you used to see cunts driving the cars. Only them in there, but they're still wearing masks. Like, what are you going to catch, cunt? There's no one in the car but you.
The aircon might have it.
Cruising around with the mask on, solo.
I remember before that they shut down Townsville, like the nightclubs. I went out like literally every night of the week because I'm a young fellow at the time. I was fucking man, what am I going to do? I was 20.
Having withdrawals.
I was turning 22 that year, and sorry to the mob hearing this, but one of the clubs that I would spend most time in before it shut was Showbar. And, for those that don't know Showboat, it's the local exotic dancer club in Townsville. Look, let me just tell you this. I remember going out and there was nobody out because everyone was already scared, but they were still, they were still operating. So I'm like, I'm going to support local businesses, right? But I remember I was with my mate and we were walking down, just walking, down Flinders, of course. I think we're going, I think we're just heading up to where the pizza joint is because I think we were heading into the Mad Cow for something. But what do you call it? There was one fella that was walking in the other direction. So, like he was by himself, no one around him, and he had a mask on. And I remember at the time, even though wearing masks now is normal for COVID times, I remember because it was heading into lockdown, everyone was staring at him like he had it, and like everyone was just stopped and turned. And just because he was the only fella wearing a mask out in the clubs, and it's like, well, good as this place is going to be shut in 2 days. Like he's just protecting himself, and we're silly. We're the silly ones not wearing a mask, still being out in the clubs. Far out.
I remember too. I was up at Gilligan's there, me and brother James. Me, James, Uncle Alan went to Gilligan's there one night.
Uncle Al, yeah.
Like, COVID gonna get you. COVID gonna get you, Mom. Go home, wash yourself with betadine and Dettol.
Yeah, betadine, yeah. It would have been different in Cairns too, because you guys have a bit more of a, a bigger tourist
it's a tourism destination,
yeah.
Everywhere, but crazy times.
Some of them mob don't clean themselves properly, but anyways.
But here, did you ever get scared when they say COVID outbreak in Townsville? This person went to Coles, Willows.
Yep.
Fuck, I was there. What time was it that you checked your little scans? No, I wasn't there then.
I remember, because remember that whole enemy of the state thing where that African woman left Brisbane and like flew up north and like all that stuff happened, and
she went to WA or something.
Yeah, like she like went on a plane where there was a lot of people. But I remember following that there was a small family that also had COVID, but they flew up to Townsville and went to Maggie Island. But you know what happened? I was on the same flight. So because of that, I had to test. I had to do it. But like there, like you said, like, you had to, if there was breaking news of a outbreak and, list, that's what that app there was for, scanning the QR code. You had to know all the locations, but then knowing that you were on the same flight, like, being in a little container with these mob, I was like, shit. So I never wanted to do the testing, taking that swab up your nose and the back of your throat, good ways. It was just
how
back of your throat, good ways. It was just a different. It was just a yucky time,
Yeah.
I hope we never go back to it. And of course, modern times. I think the last pandemic really was like something like the Spanish flu or something back in the early 20th century or something. But now, now we were able to get through it. Most of us unscathed. If anything does happen in the future, we're able to tackle it. But anyways, we've been talking about a lot of things. But just to end it, even though I said we were not going to have an hour-long episode, we have been speaking for about 54 minutes now, the runtime. I want to do what they call an NRL grid before we finish, Alex.
Let's go.
So for those that don't know what an NRL grid is, it basically is we have to type in names.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the names have to match up, and these are names of NRL players, and they have to match up with the categories in front. So the categories around the top, they have to have scored 5 or more tries in the finals. So that's finals, grand final, it all counts. Another category, they have had to have played for 4 or more clubs. So that's quite rare, but we can probably figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, players who have played in finals games across 5 consecutive seasons in their career. So, and then the side ones, of course, played 1 or more games for the Melbourne Storm, played 1 or more games for the Penrith Panthers, and played 1 or more games for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So, which one did you want to tackle first? Which one do you think is straight away you get it?
Scored 5 or more finals tries.
Yep. What, for the Storm?
Yep.
Who we going with? And remember, like I said to Alex before we started recording, but you get rewarded by how lower a percentage of a player you get. So if we was like, just say like 5 or more finals tries at the top of your head for the Melbourne Storm, could be like a Billy Slater. Most likely Billy Slater would have been an answer for a lot of other people. So the goal is to maybe try and get more obscure with your footy knowledge if you have that type of knowledge in the back of your mind. But yeah, let's just continue. Who do you think 5 or more finals tries for the Storm?
What's the 19? Is that how many tries that person scored?
No, I think 19 is how many players fit this category.
Oh, I'll just say Josh Adokar.
Josh Adokar.
Actually, take that back. Let's say Billy Slater.
Billy Slater. So 1048 is the percentage of like who's chosen him. So it's a bit low, but it could be lower. But yeah, that's it there. All right. 5 or what is it? Yeah, 5 or more finals tries for the Penrith Panthers. Now, as well, I've seen this with like NBA hoop. They call it the hoop grid, but basically they don't have to have completed that stat whilst wearing that jersey. So, like for instance, like how would you say it? Like for instance, like an Amos Roberts who's played for Penrith, he also may have scored 5 or more finals tries while he was playing for the Roosters, but he was still a Penrith player. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, what about Amos Roberts? Do you think he'd be in here?
No.
You don't think so? I'm going to try him.
This is just for finals.
Yeah, 5 or more finals tries. You think he scored 5 or more finals tries, old Amos Roberts?
So for what? For Panthers and Roosters?
No, so that's what I was saying. It doesn't necessarily have to be him scoring them in the Panthers' colours. He would have just had to score 5 or more finals tries, but also had to have played for the Panthers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking Amos Roberts, he played for a long time. He played finals a few times, and he did score a few tries, and he also played for the Penrith Panthers. Not necessarily meaning he's scored 5 or more tries.
Well, this is your pick, so you do this one.
I'm gonna go Amos Roberts just because not too many people know about old Uncle Amos. You know what I mean? Let's see if he counts. Anyways, I'm arguing he might not count. No, he doesn't count.
Hey.
You would have thought he would have scored. He finished up in 08. All right, who do you think then?
I'm gonna go. I'm either thinking Luke Rooney or Luke Lewis.
Let's go Rooney because he might be a bit of a what do you call Luke Rooney? Nah.
Fuck off. Try Luke Lewis.
Luke Lewis. There we go.
Okay.
All right. 5 or more finals tries for the Rabbitohs.
I'm just gonna go with the obvious though.
What, Greg Inglis?
I was gonna say Nathan Merritt.
You want to, for finals tries? He didn't play many finals.
What about AJ?
Yeah, nice. All right. Played for 4 or more clubs for the Storm. Dale Finucane?
James Maloney.
James Maloney. So 625. We'll choose thing. What about Dale Finucane? Is he? No. Okay. James Maloney. Why isn't that coming up?
Oh, did you just get rid of it because you fucking backed him?
Oh, I did. I might have.
You fucking.
Sorry.
Hang on.
I thought it'd be fucking.
Finucane's only ever played for Bulldogs and Storm, and now Sharks.
I thought he may have played for an extra one there. My bad.
No, not James Tarmo.
No, I wasn't going to put Tarmo.
Let's go for 4+ clubs.
Sorry, mate. My bad. See, I'm selling there. Let's move on. Let's come back to that. For Panthers.
James Maloney. What?
Wait, let me just...
Try scroll down and see if you can just go
Unless
James.
you could only choose them for the one category.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, for Panthers, let's just go Luke Prittis.
I think James Maloney's out now, Bruss.
Try Luke Prittis.
For 4 or more clubs. How many teams did he play for?
Hang on. Broncos, Panthers. Did he play for Dragons as well? No, he won't. He won't count. Fuck. Seguiaro.
Nice.
Yeah. Now don't
He's
change
played
it.
for.
Fuck yeah.
And look, lower the score. He's 364 there. All right. For the Bunnies.
Bunny, let's go with.
How many clubs did Vangana play for? Doggies, Warriors, Sharks, Rabbitohs. Yeah?
Did he play for Sharks?
I thought he was at the Sharks. Am I going to cheat?
Try it.
Oh, thank
There we
God. Hey, what happened there?
Yeah, Sharks.
What's that? Yeah, Canterbury, Cronulla, Souths, Warriors.
He's good, this guy.
Oh, okay. 5. Maybe we can change this one, though. Can we still change this one?
Let's change it.
It's not giving me a thing to change it now. Hey,
He fucked
what
it
the
up.
hell?
You fucked it up.
What happened here?
With what?
I can't type in any more names.
Try go end grid.
We're end grid.
Just go back to where you was. That
What if
arrow
I-
there, though.
This one here.
Yep. End grid.
Oh, let's just move to a previous one.
All right,
All right.
go again. Let's go again.
Let's go again.
Let's go
Refresh. All right. This is okay. So the top ones play for 3+ clubs, coached by Wayne Bennett, scored 3 or more tries in a game, and then the teams are Dolphins, Rabbitohs again, and then Newcastle Knights. All right, played for 3 clubs for the Dolphins.
Anthony Milford.
Yep. Played for 3 more clubs. Should we use Vangana here as well?
Yep.
Or can you think of another name that might be?
No, let's go Vangana. Go. Hello, it's not even there.
Well, in my olden.
Go with Dave Taylor. Go with
For the Knights. Frizzell? No. Where Frizzell played?
Dragons, Sharks. I don't know if he debuted at Sharks, so he was in under 20s at Sharks.
Idris? Was Idris at the Knights?
No. You can try Brett Kamolu. Because he played for Sharks, Storm.
Was he at the Knights?
Yeah, he debuted at Knights, I'm pretty sure.
How sure are you?
Pretty sure. Fucking bastard.
North Sydney, Cronulla, Canterbury, Melbourne.
Well, in my ring then.
Can we change him though? Yeah, we'll change him. For the Knights, 3 clubs.
Darius Boyd.
Good work. Good pick. All right, coached by Wayne Bennett at the Dolphins. It'll be any of the Dolphins players. What about
Hamiso?
we want to get the lower score? Who do you think down the bottom?
Just go Jack Bostock.
Oh, they look point 84. Good work. Coached by Wayne Bennett at the Rabbitohs. Who was someone? Cheekham? No, not Cheekham. Sorry.
Nah.
Tio?
Coruscant.
Where was he coached by?
He was there when they won the grand final. No, that was Madge. That was Madge when they won the grand final.
Yeah, but he hasn't been coached by Wayne Bennett. That's what what was the name I just said?
Cheekham.
No, not Cheekham. Ben Tio.
Yeah, Bentio.
But was he at the Broncos when Bennett was there? He was, eh?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
So Rabbitohs. Just go Greg Inglis.
Where was he coached by Wayne Bennett though? Was he there at
When was Wayne Bennett there?
2019?
To 2020 when they lost to
21.
Panthers.
Yeah. So 19 to 21, and pretty sure Inglis's last season was 18, so he would have just missed him.
Just go Adam Reynolds.
Yep. All right, coached by Wayne Bennett at the Knights.
Kurt Gidley.
287. Nice. All right, scored three or more tries in a game at the Dolphins. Oh, that has also played for the Dolphins.
Hamiso.
See, what's going on there? As soon as we put in one, it doesn't allow me to finish the thing.
No, well, we'll just have it there.
Man, I wanted to finish it.
How'd it go?
Oh, well. Well, thanks for that, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, had a little bit of fun.
Had a little bit of fun. But hey, look, guys, that's something that we spoke about before. The reason why Alex is not with the Bullers. They're in Townsville. They're having a bit of an event, a weather event where it's flooding. So and like we said at the start of the episode, we just want to, of course, send our condolences and regards to those that have lost family members in Ingham. And hopefully, there are no more casualties from this weather event. And hopefully those that the families that have been affected by the evacuation, hope I'm hoping that, or we are hoping that the floods don't do too much damage. Where when it does, when you do eventually go back home, you're able to go back home safely and securely. And look, at the moment down here in New South Wales, I usually following the floods from North Queensland, the water usually travels down. So hopefully we're fortunate enough to not be able to go through things as well, but stuff does happen. So making sure that just reminding yourself that to be able to get through this time, it'll take a lot of community power, and I've been seeing some great community movement in Townsville and Cairns and Ingham and Innisfail, where during these times people come out of their houses and out of their yards to help their next door neighbour with anything that might be happening. But yeah, Alex, is there anything else that you want to end on? You're being there as well.
Just stay safe. As we've been seeing here around Townsville, for the people that live in Townsville and obviously areas of North Queensland that are affected at the moment, these streets and parks and waterways are just flooding so quickly. As the saying goes, if it's flooded, forget it. I'm lucky enough to have a four-wheel drive. That's not an excuse to go through floodwaters, though, but I'm just lucky enough that my street wasn't impacted that much. It was just water up to my side steps. That's about it. So I had to drive through it to get home when it first started flooding. But, we've had Brother Anthony there, save a young fellow that got stuck in floodwaters just up the road here where Western Lines, trying to go through flooded streets in little tiny cars. I've driven past an Audi that was stuck on Fulham Road that was flooded. It was ridiculous. So, just stay safe. Take care. Don't be afraid to help people if they are struggling.
Yep.
Just stay safe through all this madness.
And good ways, you boys are still going to the gym, and during this time,
we're still going to the gym throughout this time. So
bit of a safe
space for us.
That's it, and that's the thing. During this time, you need to be able to find your safe space, and of course, if your safe space is being affected by the floods, making sure that you're looking after yourself, that's self-care, and if you sort of have that added pressure of course, looking after your a family during this time as well, making sure that of course, you're good for your family is always priority. Okay, but look, before we move on, just I'm wearing one of our new singlets here. Bala Alex is wearing one of our singlets as well.
Can you get up and model it for us? Well, can
you
get up and spin around? Go 360?
I got a bed right behind me, so I can't really do much here. But
just show the people what it looks like at the back.
What does it say? What does it say on the back, Alex? Can you tell the people?
You've got the Mom business in the middle, and obviously our slogan to the left and the right: healthy living and heavy lifting. So, they came not long after our first episode that we did for 2025. Later on that week, they got here, so we've got singlets available. Obviously, limited sizes. We only ordered a small amount of singlets this time around because we've got still shirts left over as well. So, limited sizes. Unfortunately, the 2XLs have all sold out, but we do have 3XLs left, 4XLs, 5XLs, small, medium, and large as well.
Yeah.
But I think by the time we have our next episode, we should have our hats.
So, to my understanding, sorry, before we go, it's they're like sports caps. So, if I can use as an example, like this here.
It's funny, I grabbed the same one.
Oh, there we go. So something similar
panel caps like this.
You see a lot of like their Rabbitohs, they have one, but you see a lot of sports teams now do it. I think these hats became popular. Like runners have worn these types of hats for a while.
Yeah.
But they're just great because they're like, it stops you sweating. It basically acts like a headband. And I've worn this hat when I went up to Townsville sometime last year, and I came back. I ended up taking this one from the Deadly Choices crew in Townsville. Shout out to them. But I wore this to almost every Oztag game that I played to round out the end of the year last year, and yeah, it's just good.
Did it make you play like Pappenhausen, as it's a Storm one?
Yep, it made me play like Vunivalu. But basically the hats that we got coming are similar to these, sort of like the performance hats. So prices, of course, we'll be discussing those later on how much they'll be. But yeah.
And you guys would have seen the teasers that we dropped on our Instagram stories at the start of the year when we were trying to get the opinions of our followers. So the fans have decided which one they wanted, and the followers are going to get what they want. So when they get here, we'll send one to Brother Wil, and he can model it just the way he's doing it right now. Look at him.
Yeah. call me Black Jaden Lang. Yeah, he's not that good. But yeah, look. Thank you for joining in. But I'm going blank now. But look, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for showing all the support that you do on our Instagram, over on our Facebook page as well. It's a slow incline on the way up on what we're trying to do. Of course, there's just the four of us sort of doing some working hours, of course. So we're just trying to make sure that we're just trying to break that mold. Yeah, doing the best we can. Thanks, Alex. Especially for the topic that we're tackling. It's like I said, all of this is built up over time, over years of not talking about it. So, of course, there are individuals, families, communities, organisations that are very scared to talk about it. But what we're trying to do is very slowly is break that stigma around it, because it happens. It makes us human. And good ways how the world is going now with the rental crisis, governments fighting amongst each other, and sort of this sort of inevitable decline into what is human society, if we wanted to say it. It's definitely a stressful time to be a human being in today's world. We're just trying to make sure we're trying to look after ourselves, but look after others as well. But yeah, with all that being said, peace out. We'll see you later. Stay safe, and we love you. Yeah, see you later.